Taiwanese people are so patient. They wait for you to finish your sentences. It's not the same in other countries, right? Where
they're like,
what did you say? I feel like this is a great place to learn Mandarin. In the beginning, I definitely struggled with being too shy, intimidated to speak because I wanted to sound perfect every time I spoke. That's not how you learn a language, right? You have to make mistakes and people have to not be able to understand you in order for you to learn the proper way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show today. My name is John Drummond, or Yang Haoen.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎各位再度来到 NG 英文，我是 Angela。We
have a great episode for you today with my good friend Francesca, who is known around the Taiwanese community as Attorney on a Journey.
对啊，今天我们邀请到来自旧金山湾区，从律师界功成身退，现在在台湾是旅游部落客跟生涯顾问的台裔美国人张思佳 Francesca 到节目上跟各位做分享。
My guest today is Taiwanese. She is an ex-attorney of law, life coach, blogger, YouTuber, a lover of Taiwan, traveling, and so much more. So everyone, please welcome my good friend, Francesca.
Hi, John.
Oh, what's up? You were ready for the high five.
Yes, I was.
You knew what was coming with that. Yeah. Welcome to NG 英文, Francesca.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so you have quite a cool story. You have been all over the world doing all sorts of different things. And I would love if you could give our audience here on NG 英文 a little introduction about yourself.Sure,
yeah. Hi, everyone. 大家好. My name is Francesca. 我中文名字是张思佳. I am a Taiwanese American from California Bay Area, and I am also an ex-lawyer turned travel vlogger, and now life and career coach in Taipei, Taiwan.
Yes, awesome. Lovely introduction there. And what a transition, if I must say, from attorney to now life coach, vlogger, but you've done it so effortlessly. And I love it because you've been exploring more about your history, your heritage, and especially your father's. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Awesome. So I was thinking we could start today with kind of your transition from attorney into content creator. And so can you take us on a little journey?
Yeah.
Attorney on a Journey?
Attorney on a Journey.
That
my blog name.
Yes. Shout out to the blog name, Attorney on a Journey. But when did that all begin?
Yeah. So funny story. It sort of happened by accident. As you know, I used to be an attorney in the United States, in California, and I quit my job. Kind of had some hurdles, some struggles, trying to figure out what the next steps were. I knew that being an attorney was just not for me. It was a very toxic field. It was unhealthy. It was not sustainable. And I personally didn't feel like I was giving back and helping in the way I wanted to. So yeah, that was the beginning of the journey, kind of figuring out what it is I wanted to do next. And, tried multiple careers, failed, tried more careers, failed. And when I thought I had landed what was my dream job, right? Like we all have this conception of, oh, you're going to find your dream job working for...
Dream jobs.
Okay, you have found your dream job, so that's great. But when I was working at this dream job, my husband had this opportunity for us to move to Taiwan. And at first I was very reluctant. I was like, no way, I worked so hard to get to where I am, having to come out of law and reinvent myself. But then I just kind of stepped back and thought about it and realized, okay, this is a great opportunity, right? I have nothing to lose, right? So we relocated to Taiwan about 4 years ago now. And that started another journey because I didn't know what I was going to do when I got here. And so the first thing I did was I just reached out to the contacts that I had already had here. One of those was an editor, Johannes at Travel in Taiwan. And I just said, hey, I'm back. Do you have any freelance assignments for me? So I started writing for a travel magazine. So that's, that was the first thing I did. Started writing for a travel magazine. My writing turned into other gigs, writing for other travel blogs in Taiwan. And then eventually I landed a full-time gig working for a local tour agency here in Taiwan.
Okay. 4 years ago, that transition of like, oh no, my husband wants to go back or go to Taiwan, excuse me. And
he is from Taiwan.
He is from Taiwan. Okay, so come back to Taiwan, and you're like, no, what a struggle. Wow. And so thinking then, okay, so you've landed these kind of freelance writing jobs. When did it transition to kind of doing it all on your own?
Yeah. So again, that was unplanned. Like I said, I was eventually full-time employed for a travel agency here, my Taiwan tour. And I loved the job because I was able to scout the entire island for tour destinations. And if you check out my blog, just these off the beaten path experiences, right, that you don't find anywhere else. So while I was doing this for my job, I was just documenting it on my own.
Right. Got selfies.
Yeah, filming it because I just couldn't believe that nobody knew about these places, right? And for me, I was, I love photography, or I actually love video more. I love being on camera. I love explaining things to people, especially when I get to share Taiwan. So I just started doing that kind of as a passion. Or I got to share this, right? I got to save this for later. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then COVID happened. So COVID happened, got laid off, right? Travel industry kind of gone, right? At least in that immediate instance. So then again, it's what do I do now? What do I do with myself? And I just had all of this content. And that's when I thought, okay, I need to repurpose this and make this my own.
What a perfect time, as the transition was probably very rough with COVID. You're like, oh no. But now you give you all that time to create all your own. And now as things begin to kind of open up, you're going to stay solo, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, solo.
What's up?
I mean, I have another business too. So with the life and career coaching, which...
Right. Yes. The entrepreneur that you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the life coaching, are you focusing on clients around the world or more in the US or here in Taiwan?
They tend to be lawyers from the US who also, like me, have a moment where they realize, I can't do this anymore, or even maybe this isn't what I want anymore, right? And that happens to all of us, but for some reason, it's not normal to say those things out loud. Or for me, that's what I experienced when I left the law. There was no permission to do that. I had to give myself permission to do that. So a lot of lawyers who want to make a career change, they come to me. But I do coach people in Taiwan as well, young entrepreneurs. I love it. So it's anyone who kind of has this mindset of, what else can I do? What more can I do? I'm sure you can relate to that, right? You're an entrepreneur yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm thinking too, do you mind sharing a few things people can think about for a mindset of if they are in that struggle point? Can you share any wisdom maybe with us about, what can they do right now?
Yeah. I think what's very important is kind of taking a step back and looking at your environment, because sometimes it's not you holding yourself back. Most of the time it is, but it's also, right? The mindset's here, right? But there can be other factors in your environment holding you back. If you are surrounded by lawyers all day, right, who think that it's normal, then why would you walk away from money like that? That's going to be harder to walk away. Or I know adults who still feel a lot of pressure from their parents, right? Grown adults who can't leave jobs just because of their parents, right? So there's ways of setting boundaries there and, stepping back and saying, okay, I need to surround myself with the people who will help me get to what I want and distance myself from the people who are making it harder to get there.
Wonderful, actually, a metaphor for life also, for career and
life. Yeah.
Awesome. So thinking about maybe some impactful moments as you've gotten to see this island from so many different perspectives, can you share something that's really been powerful for you over the years?
Yeah, I think it's just any time I get out of Taipei, really. A lot of the travel that I do is on the east coast of Taiwan, actually.
I always say, 我是宜兰人.
Oh, really? Yeah, but I mean, going towards Hualien, Taidong, that's where, the majority of indigenous tribes still live. And what's amazing is that they have recently been opening their communities up to tourism. But they do so in a way that keeps their lifestyles in line with the way that their indigenous communities have always lived. So that's why you can't, necessarily book these experiences directly on a website. That's why you can't take like a huge tour bus down there. They only accept very small groups, and it's all, in line with slow travel living, because slow travel is how the indigenous people live, right? It's they don't waste, they don't take too much from their environment. They're very in tune with nature. So every time I go down to the East Coast, there's always something that just takes my breath away, right? Like whether it's learning how to make 小米酒 with the tribe, right? Like that experience is just so deep because they're singing, you know, in their native tongue and singing their local songs while they do it. It's not just it's not just a procedure, right? It's not like let's just make some alcohol. It's like this is our culture. This is how we live and how we respect our community, our environment. And so that every time I do something like that, I'm just so blown away.
Yeah, and I love it. And it makes me think too, you know, you're going there and they're just kind of going about their day, but they're inviting you in.
Exactly.
Right? It's not like a show they're putting on.
Not at all. It is so organic and you do end up singing and dancing with them. And it's just this, it's this experience that, you can't get anywhere else. So.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's so wonderful.
上半段一开始这边我们马上就谈到了思佳他这个从律师变成生涯顾问转换工作跑道的分享。原来啊，几年前他在加州当律师的时候当得很不开心，整个职业环境啊生活也都不是说很健康，所以才会决定从律师界退役。那换了工作不久之后呢，又因为他的先生工作关系又搬回来台湾住。那回来之后，从一开始本来的兼职帮人家写旅游杂志、旅游部落格，到后来顺利呢在旅行社找到全职工作，而且因为这样子让他有机会走遍台湾大街小巷，钻台湾遭套套，全台走透透。那你也知道，到一个新的地方的时候，我们手机就是一定要拿出来嘛，对不对？照相、自拍、录影，样样来，记录当天的回忆。本来一切都进行得很顺利，又可以工作，又可以旅游啊、摄影，殊不知后来疫情爆发，思佳也因为公司是旅游业受重创，就被解雇了。原本还担心说完了人生又要打掉重练了，但幸好创意无限的思佳呢，把危机变转机。以前因为工作到各地出差的照片，现在反而变成他事业上很重要的一环。几个字我们来听一下。首先，律师这个英文说法，大家相信瞬间脑袋里面想的都是我们常常听到的 lawyer， 对吧？但其实我们也可以说 attorney。好，有趣的是呢，在美国这两个虽然都是有通过律师考试的律师，而且母语人士常常也都是很多把 lawyer 跟 attorney 当同义词来用，但其实 lawyer 它本质上比较像是我们讲的法律咨询顾问啊。那些法庭上法庭辩护的律师就是 attorney。好，小小的一个知识补充给大家。另外一个字也想来和各位听众朋友们分享的是被公司解雇的英文说法，可以用 lay off 这个字来表达。不管你说I got laid off 还是 I was laid off 都可以，都是我被公司解雇了。如果直白一点讲说我被开除的话，相信大家对他的说法应该也都蛮熟悉的吧哈。没错，就是 fire 这个字。I was fired 我被开除了。那如果是自己自愿离职，屁股拍拍走人，这时候就可以说 I quit 老娘不做了。再来他们提到的部分是思佳他在生涯顾问这份工作上的角色。好，觉得他是帮美国一些跟他当初一样面临转换跑道瓶颈的律师，给他们一些相关建议和支持。不过当然台湾在地的一些创业的客户或是任何在这个人生十字路口上迷惘的人，他也都有提供咨询。那今天既然顾问人在现场，我们主持人当然就是马上把握机会帮各位要了一些建议。就是说如果你刚好在面临一些人生课题不知道怎么办的话呢，我们可以先退一步来想一想自己真正要的是什么，然后呢多跟那些对你有帮助的人相处。好，那这段内容就先在这里告一段落，我们赶快继续听下半段的分享。
So a question I love to ask here on NG Ingwen is thinking a little bit about your future. So as you have transitioned now, you're doing so many things.
Yeah.
What do you want to be focusing on more in 2022, maybe and beyond?
As an entrepreneur, right, you always struggle with where do I focus? Where do I put my time and energy? So I think for me, of course, I'll still be running the life and career coaching business, but I do want to automate a lot of that. I feel like I can help more people at the same time and, appeal to bigger audiences by actually automation. So I will be automating a lot of my products, a lot of my advice and guides and steps that I took to transition. So I'll be automating that. And then I do hope to free up some time to do more of the blogging, the traveling, the video editing. Yeah, so that's where my mind is. I want to do the fun stuff, right? Or I want to do what I feel is to me, I live in Taiwan, right? So I feel like I can have the most impact by showing Taiwan, celebrating Taiwan while I'm here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to think about kind of the automation process too that you want to go through of what does that look like? Are you talking like building chatbots and AI stuff?
Not quite that, although I will probably start to use those services. But for example, I feel like lawyers, they all come to me with the same 6 blocks. It's always the same. It's
these 6 pillars.
These 6 pillars, right? It's golden handcuffs, right? It's I can't leave my job because I'm making so much money, right? Or it's just for any, not just lawyers, but the sunk cost fallacy, right? It's, oh, I spent so much time and money doing this, so I can't do anything else, which we know that doesn't really work. Like that doesn't apply. It's not logical, right? To continue doing something you hate just because you invested in it earlier, right? You can always walk away, and no matter what you do, you're not going to get the time or money back. So just those things, I do want to package those and sell it, right? Online, the internet these days, I can make money in my sleep, right? And we're on the internet right now. Yeah, I can appeal to and, make myself available to a larger audience. That's kind of what it is too. Make myself accessible, because if I coach one-on-one, I'm only helping one person, right?
Yes. Yeah, I love it. It's a growth mindset. It's an entrepreneurial mindset. And it's also a very financially savvy mindset. And I love all those things.
Yes,
I
yes.
wish you nothing but success.
Thank you. Thank
you. Well, do you mind if we transition a little bit kind of to the story of you?
Sure.
And more about your kind of language journey, because I know you're bilingual. Attorney on a bilingual journey is kind of where you're at now.
Yeah.
So do you mind then if we kind of talk about how you are now putting out content in Mandarin and in English?
Mandarin is a language that I'm always consistently learning. I have a teacher. I work with translators because my blog originally started in just English. And obviously that's what you do, right? You use the language that you're most comfortable with. But, I realized that I need to make this, again, accessible, right, to more people. I want Taiwanese people to see what I've experienced as well. I don't just want foreigners or English speakers to see it. It's, this is they live on this island, right? This is their country. And so I was very timid about speaking more Mandarin on camera, right? That's very intimidating to me, and I don't want to look stupid, right? There's always that, you're very vulnerable when you're speaking in a second language. That's not your native tongue. But I realized, okay, I have to get this out to both audiences. And so most of my content going forward, especially the YouTube videos, they will be bilingual. You will see me speaking more Mandarin. I have it's a given that I will have subtitles in both English and Mandarin.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's a lot of work. I know how hard that is, as I do that here.
Yeah.
But I think it's a noble task. And it's so cool too, because as you said, English is your kind of comfortable, almost your first language, but your transition to decide to kind of learn more Mandarin started with a little bit of a story about your father. Is that right?
Yeah. So my father is Taiwanese, but he left this country when he was very, very young. He left when he was 9. Taiwan was under martial rule at the time, and it was just very politically unstable. Growing up, I didn't know much about my Taiwanese heritage at all. And actually, when they left Taiwan, they actually emigrated to Okinawa first, which is where he learned Japanese and English, and then eventually emigrated to the United States. And so there were so many languages spoken in my home, but I only knew English. And, asking my father to teach me one of those languages was a task in itself, because he didn't feel fluent in any of the languages except for English. English became his, native mother tongue just because he was so young when he came to the US. And that's the language he's more comfortable in, right? So I didn't really learn the language and didn't really learn anything about the culture until I was in college and decided, okay, I want to learn Mandarin on my own, right? I'm going to finally learn Mandarin. And that actually led me to come to Taiwan, because, what better way to learn a language than to be immersed in the country that speaks it, or in your father's motherland, right? Where you learned it. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And that's so pure. And it's so interesting too, how, displacement and all that. And now your father is like, yeah, I feel more comfortable speaking English. Yeah. And that's because he's just been all over the world. And, and so I think it's so pure and so beautiful that you've kind of reconnected with him on that level. I saw some beautiful photos and a little video of him coming to Taiwan, and you and him came together for the first time, and I saw you doing some calligraphy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so, he looked so happy.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I do remember you mentioned off air that you kind of have a fun story about you and your father with language. Can you share that?
So actually there was this one time where I was visiting my dad back home in the States, and we were in the car, and he was being a very irresponsible driver. He was driving, and he was trying to, at the same time while he was driving, he was trying to, like answer the phone or eat or something, just very like distracting. And so unconsciously, I kind of blurted out in Chinese or in Mandarin, I blurted out, 你在干嘛? And he just looked over at me and started cracking up, right? Because first, I mean, I'm the child and he's the adult, so I'm kind of scolding him in a way which you don't do to Asian parents. But he just thought it was hilarious because he had never heard me speak to him in his quote unquote native tongue. Yeah. And so he just thought it was so funny that and what he said to me was, you sound so Taiwanese, right? Which totally. And I was surprised too. I was like, oh wow, I unconsciously thought in Mandarin, and my command of this language is a lot better than it used to be. So.
And you even said it with like ama, like attitude. I love
Scolding
it.
Scolding him. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, that's so great. Thank you for sharing that. So, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the NG Ingwen show here. And a question I'd love to end here with is, if you could go back and talk to a younger Francesca, would there be any advice you give yourself about life, language, business?
Life, language, business. So with the language, I would give myself the advice I just gave everybody here is... be okay with making mistakes, right?
Vulnerable.
Be vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. Never aim for perfect. And I think that applies in entrepreneurship as well. It's like, don't aim for perfect. All entrepreneurs do is we try and we fail. We try and we fail, and we just repeat, right? There is no perfect. Just iterating with everything you do. It's trial and error.
Yeah, that like 试试看 vibe.
Yeah, 试试看, yeah. Or 慢慢的, 慢慢来, you just try, yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today on the show, and I wish you really nothing but success. It's so great to kind of learn more about the transitions you've been through and all the cool things you're doing now here in Taiwan. And where can people find your videos, your blogs, everything content related online?
Yeah, so just search Attorney on a Journey. My blog will pop up, my Instagram, Facebook, and even my YouTube channel, which the English name is Attorney on a Journey, but I actually also have, it's bilingual.
Hey.
I have a Chinese name for my YouTube channel as well.
Okay. Do you want to share that with us?
Sure. So it's actually a play on words. There is a 成语 in Mandarin. It goes 色香情切. It is the feeling that you have when you think of going home. So it's not just homesickness. It's also dread and maybe fear that things have changed, right? There's all these underlying emotions. Like there's no English word for this, right? Yes. So 色香 means to homesick or think of your home. 情切 is to kind of have a dread or fear that going home is not going to be what it used to be. So that 成语, my teacher thought of it, and we replaced the first two characters. Instead of 色香, it's actually my Chinese name, which is 色家. Right? So 家 sounds like home, so it's still kind of the same meaning. And then instead of 情切, which has kind of a little bit of a negative connotation, we just put a happier connotation there, so 情切. So it's I'm happy to go home, or I'm happy to dig back into my roots and come back to the motherland, all those feelings. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so one more time, it is
色家情切.
Okay. Oh, I hear it now. Okay, beautiful. There it is. Awesome, Francesca. Well, thank you again for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk to you next time.
下半段一开始这边来宾提到说，他未来希望可以把生涯咨询顾问这方面的相关产品跟相关资讯变得自动化、数位化。因为这样子除了可以同时间帮助到更多人，而不是就只是一对一的咨询以外， 也可以把因为这样子自动化而多出来的时间挪去做更深入的台湾旅游，好，把更多的台湾美好写出来让更多人知道。那这边有几个字我们来听一下，一个是 golden handcuffs。 好，私家说有不少来找他咨询的律师都因为薪水优渥所以离不开工作岗位，因为怕会找不到有一样好或是更好的待遇。那这个 golden handcuffs 金手铐呢，就被用来指这种雇主为了留住员工而出的高额津贴。对员工来说好像很不错，可以赚很多，但同时也是一种枷锁，一种手铐，把自己就是困住了，所以才会说是 golden 黄金的手铐。另外一个是 savvy S-A-V-V-Y， 这字非常的道地哦，它有知识、能力、本领的意思。通常很多看到它的时候都是会跟另外一个字一起出现，例如美国不少公司在求职网站上应征者需具备的条件栏里面都会出现要 tech savvy 这个要求，好，意思说就是要电脑高手，要会熟悉微软的办公室软体啊、搜寻引擎等等 tech savvy。 好，或者像刚才 John 说来宾他很 financially savvy， 就是在表达他对自己的财务管理很有条理，很精明这样子。好，因为私家他刚刚不是打算说要把他的咨询服务自动化嘛，想说这样子不但可以在更少的时间内提供更多服务，也可以提升收入。接着他提到他做的影片呢，除了有讲中文英文以外，也都有附中文字幕。好，所以如果听众朋友想要练习听力，或是可能想要学新单字的话，可以找个时间去看看他的影片，说不定还可以意外发现某个他介绍的旅游秘境哦。话说回来，虽然他的爸爸是台湾人，但其实他在还很小的时候就跟家人离开台湾到日本住了一段时间，最后才又辗转搬到美国。所以他爸爸其实中文不太行，反倒是英文变成了他的母语，导致想要寻根想要学中文的私家最后是到大学才学中文。那也因为这样子让他有了来台湾的念头，最后也确实有成行，而且也跟爸爸一起回来，一起完成了一场寻根之旅。最后我们来听一个片语 quote unquote。 好，他这个说法我觉得很有趣，就是有一些英文母语人士啊，他们不是在想要表达讽刺说反话的时候会比一个兔子耳朵的那个空气引号的手势吗？那手势就是把引号动作化嘛，对不对？但是除了用标点符号用动作来表示以外，我们其实还可以把它文字化，变成是像这边讲的 quote unquote。 好，就是说引号开始，然后讲完引号结束，上引号下引号这样。像刚才来宾讲到说中文是他爸爸的母语的时候，就用了这个说法，表示说他在说反话，中文不是他的母语啊这样。但其实应该好像要是，但其实不是这样子。好，那希望大家都有从这一次的内容学到一些东西，有兴趣的话呢，找个时间去私家他的私家情趣网站去看看他的影片哦。
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone. Peace. All right. Well, that is our NG 英文 show for today. We hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Spotify. You can search NG 英文, or you can search on IG, NG English ICRT. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday morning from 6:30 to 7 and Wednesday night from 9 to 9:30. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
好啦，今天的节目就到这边告一段落啦，感谢各位的收听，别忘了订阅我们的 Spotify 还有 YouTube 频道哦。那喜欢我们节目的话，也要记得到 Instagram 到 IG 上追踪我们哦。如果各位有什么其他问题是想要问来宾的，也请欢迎在底下留言告诉我们，我们一定会想办法帮你问到手。好啦，那就下周在空中相会咯，拜拜。